Okay, it's recording. Hello, welcome to my first video on YouTube. Wow. So much fun. So I decided for my first video, I'm gonna kind of upload a kind of time-lapse and art process video, kind of show off how I create my art. Welcome to my video. I don't know how long this is going to take me because this is a large scale piece. I'm talking about like a 4-foot by 4-foot panel, sheet thick. So kind of what I want to show off first is my sketch of the piece I'm going to do. I came up with the idea a week or two ago. You'll see the panel here in a minute. The panel is not like a portrait. It's actually a square panel. So I have to kind of adjust the sketch to the size. And then I completed a kind of redo of the pose because I didn't like how it ended up turning out. So I tried to make it a little bit more dynamic, a little bit more interesting. I did the sketch with a 4H level pencil, and then I went over it with a fine grade pencil, and then finally I went over it with a black brush pen to kind of outline it and come up with the shapes. Hello, welcome to my wonderful kind of corner of my dorm room. So this here is the panel I'll be working on. As you can see, it is kind of big. You can kind of see the first sketch. I have an eye drawn out and I have the figure, but I don't particularly like how the figure looks, as you can tell by the fact that I completely redid the pose in my sketchbook. So what we're gonna do is I'm gonna take a chamois and I'm gonna wipe out as much as I can of the pose. It's not gonna completely wipe it out, but I'm going to be doing an oil painting on top of this charcoal sketch, so any sort of lines that are there will disappear once I start the oil painting. So what I'm gonna start out with doing, like I said, is I'm gonna take a chamois. It's just like a little piece of fabric. I got it here on campus in the art section of the campus store. And I'm just gonna go over it and completely take out this figure. And a lot of people will probably tell me, oh my god, Cass, why would you do that? That pose looked amazing. Well, no, I actually hated it. So we're also going to get rid of this eye because I don't like the position of the eye, and we're going to kind of go over the various circles I created. Just kind of get rid of them because we're going to be adjusting the size of the figure too, because I felt like that figure was a little too small. I wanted it to be bigger and kind of more life-size. Not quite life-size, because I would have needed a bigger panel to do a life-size figure. I mean, I could probably fit a life-size figure on this one, but I don't want to. So here I have my sketchbook with the sketch I showed off earlier. I'm just gonna set it down on the floor and I'm gonna go in there and start kind of sketching it out. I tried to zoom in a little bit to kind of hopefully make it so you can see, but it's very likely that the willow charcoal that I'm going to be using, it's just vine charcoal. I get vine and willow charcoal mixed up. I'm pretty sure it's the same thing. I don't actually know. I'm not a professional, although I wish I was. So I'm going to take this vine charcoal and I'm going to start with the kind of base figure of the sketch and kind of block out where I want certain shapes, where I want certain limbs, and hopefully you'll be able to see it. If not, I'll probably fast forward to after I get the figure blocked out so I can show it off a little bit. So yeah. So I start out the sketch by making marks at the top and the bottom of where I want the figure to land, and then I put another marker kind of where I want the middle of the figure to be. Then I begin blocking out the various shapes of the body. The thorax, which is the rib cage, I make into kind of like an egg-like shape with a bit of a divot at the bottom. So right there I made the head, and I'm starting to fill out where the neck is. But at this point I kind of realize that I hate it and I think it's too big. So I chamois it out, and then I sit there and I redraw the shape. So right about here you can see I create the thorax kind of like about the size that I feel it should be. And then I begin to create the sphere for the head, and then I do kind of like this mask on top of the sphere. You can't really see it very well, but then I go in, decide I hate the thorax, and decide to redo it. Right here I'm making the plumb line all the way down to the bottom. So as I'm going along, I'm using the sketch that I made in my sketchbook as kind of like a guideline to create this sketch. So from the thorax, which is like this egg shape, I go down into the midsection, and then I create a bit of an oval for the pelvis. And then from there I can map out where the legs are. And I'll slowly adjust everything, making it bigger and smaller as I go in the sketch and put everything in perspective. Right here you can see I'm blocking out where you would find the pecs, and then I'm kind of hardening the line where the bottom of the rib cage is. And then I go down into the midsection and draw out where you would find the stomach, and I just work my way down into the lower midsection and into the thighs and the rest of the leg. You can see that I use the chamois almost like an eraser, because the vine charcoal is so loose and light. If you wipe it away with just your hand, you can mostly erase it off the page. When you use a chamois, however, you can completely take that line away to where you don't have to see it anymore. This was probably one of the hardest areas for me to get. I kept going back and forth from the midsection to the lower midsection, erasing and drawing again. I really struggled with the shape and proportions. I purposefully made the thigh and the knee area longer than it's probably supposed to be because I kind of wanted to put the leg more in perspective. So it might be a little bit bigger than it should be, but that's okay. I don't want the anatomy to be completely spot on perfect. I want it to be exaggerated and dynamic and kind of create a sense of movement in the body. You can tell as I'm going along that I'm kind of feeling out where the various limbs go. I'm not making sure it's absolutely perfect. I go back and I go over the line and I erase and I redo the line. I kind of draw with more feeling than actual preciseness. Right here you can see I'm kind of double checking the size of everything, and I realize at this point that I made the head way bigger than it's supposed to be. So I go in and I completely erase the head and I redraw it. I'm sorry I didn't have the camera angled more upwards so you'd actually be able to see me sketching out the face, but you'll be able to see it here in a minute after I'm finished and I show off the details and how the end sketch looks. Okay, so it stopped recording partway through that. So what wasn't captured was when I completely erased the head and I made it smaller. Even this, it looks a little big, but I think I can adjust that when I get to actually painting. I think I'm okay with how the pose is right now. I can always adjust it slightly when I get to the oil paint. What I do want to fix is right here. This should be a lot bigger than this muscle, so I need to switch that. And honestly, ideally, if I had somebody available, I would have them pose for me so I could look at the underarm muscles and how they move and stretch. I might have to use myself as a model because this is the most difficult part of the body for me. Kind of like the shoulder and underneath the arms. Everything else I feel so far is pretty correct anatomically. Now I think I'm gonna go in and put in all of the eyes, or at least kind of where I want to put the eyes. Well, that sure was interesting. I just got done editing the video, and I think it's good. I think it's good to upload. I didn't realize it would take so long. I started editing at like early today, and it is now 10:30. 10 p.m. at night. I'm ready to go to bed, but I wanted to finish up editing this video first. I figured I should make kind of like an outro, kind of summing everything up. So I finished the figure sketch, and I feel like I might do a sketch of the eyes off camera. I'll probably upload some pictures to my Instagram story. If you want to, you can follow me at cassandrakanabe.art. I'll put it somewhere on the screen. I post to my Instagram story almost all day long, every day. I would totally recommend giving me a follow, because I also post a lot of my artwork on there and updates, and it's the best way to keep track of me. So yeah, I think that's all. If you enjoyed the video, please subscribe. That would be nice. Maybe leave a like. Wow, what a concept. Hopefully this outro is in focus. I don't actually know if it is. My camera is very, very difficult to understand. Thanks, Nikon.